Hello everybody and welcome back to Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Today we are finishing, I think we're finishing The Walking Dead. I think, I could be wrong. It might be 2 parts, but I think it's only 1 part. What? I know, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen all the pieces there myself. That makes so much sense. The Steel Winds had always seen the Necromancers as a threat to their power. Guys? But to think that Bloomvale was originally a part of their family. I know, right? It's cruelly insane when you think about it. Guys, focus! Wallace is on trial for murder right now! Right. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. After I quit you, do you want to talk more about what I found? Yes! Alright, don't lose that confidence, I guess. 10 out of 10 free trial chat, guys. Very informative. Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. During yesterday's trial, it was revealed that the trace of necromancy might not have been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who cast necromancy in an attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by witnesses well after her time of death. This could only be explained if someone had used necromancy to animate the victim's body, which begged the following question. If the victim had been raised as an undead in order to walk around Lecture Hall 2B, where did the murder actually take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimonies of several witnesses, it is very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule for that day, our meeting lasted for an hour. This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking in the hallway. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, this would have happened after her meeting there. That would time this encounter at around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Ionis contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used the communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. As we've already established, this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is in what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the West Wing hallway. Bellwether knocked over her face, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It was probably 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means that the encounter must have happened no later than 2:30 p.m. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was at 2:01 p.m. This means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. Obtained evidence, Steelwind's deduction. The prosecution's theory lays out the following timeline for Kathleen Bellwether's movements on the day of the murder: 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Theodora Redmond was meeting with Bellwether. 1 p.m. Miriam Flaga saw Bellwether walking in the hallways. 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Bellwether spent time in the library. 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Wallace Nightgrave murdered Bellwether. 2:30 p.m. Jan Hughes witnessed Bellwether walking towards Lecture Hall 2B. 3 p.m. The Ionis sisters discovered Bellwether's body. I see. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? The prosecution's argument is definitely well thought out, Your Honor. However, it is entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Steelman's deduction had to have a hole somewhere. And since our conversation yesterday, I had a feeling that Miriam was hiding something. If I wanted to get to the truth, I would need to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. Frege? At the mention of her name, the judge's face turned a bit pale. He fidgeted with his gavel, looking towards the bailiff and then towards Steelwind. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! How dare you deceive me? It looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, I asked you to exercise discretion. I did not imply that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all of the tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No! You gave them to me. They're legally mine now. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Fine. Witness testimony. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. After that, she headed toward the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see. So it was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miriam saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head toward the library. That gives us a rough estimate of where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library after her meeting? I felt like I would have seen her there if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Why is it doing that? Why did it do that? Was this research project a part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't! Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? I sense some hostility. If you don't keep an eye on him, House Frege might just steal him back from you. As if His Highness would align himself with your rapacious family again. Our banking houses from the economic infrastructure of our kingdom. Or perhaps he'll come to the Steelmans if he needs to massacre a village of commoners. With all due respect, maybe please focus on the matter at hand. Of course, Your Honor. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. And you're sure that you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must have been referring to her family's plot to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her, and she responded in kind. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her, and she responded. What did she say? Why is that important? It's not important at all. So why? Miss Frege, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interaction could be important. Well, I bid her good morning. She said good morning in response. She was walking towards me, so I bid her good morning, and she responded in kind. And you're certain that nothing seemed off about her? Yes, like I said. It was a very short encounter. I don't understand. Why did she say that? It only happened over a few seconds. The witness's interactions are not what's important here. What matters is that she witnessed where the victim was coming from and where she went afterward. After that, she headed toward the library. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only a few minutes. I tried not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. I think it's this. I have a lot of evidence. These two look suspect. These two things look suspect. Like AI. I hope they're not AI. Oh. There it is. Is it this? Objection! Nope. Your Honor, it's clear that the witness's testimony is contradictory. And this piece of evidence proves it. I fail to see how that proves anything, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh! I guess you're right. That's the first time we've seen this sprite. He looks kind of fucking weird. A reputation, I guess. Objection! Okay. Objection! No. I don't think this even gets used. Oh, we have me in here now. We still don't have the officer. Or, Objection! Don't fucking know, man. I'm probably not even gonna be on this one. Objection! Miss Frege, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. Oh. Yeah, because the time was like 1 p.m. I think, or 1:30, around that. If I recall correctly, you pulled that information out of me through your lies. Regardless, early in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter around 1 p.m. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken. Because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is? You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is in what the professor said in response. She had just come out of a meeting that was scheduled to noon and ran for an hour. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It was definitely a stretch, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that Miriam was hiding something. Every time I asked her about how Bellwether acted that day, the Eye of Horus read a suspicious thought. There had to be something here. There. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd! What reason might I have to lie? It's just a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important to Miss Frege. Why aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? Doesn't make a difference. All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell. Miss Frege, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? Well, what do you care? What difference does it make? This peasant! Why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I will find you in contempt. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frege? Yeah, so what if she did? I mean... I'm sorry, but we all clearly heard what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you? Ah, you impertinent little... Yes, I admit. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we'd always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something had put her in a foul mood. But that's it! Everything else I said was the truth. I am telling the truth. That's all she did. I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. She walked past me. That part was true. So she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness. Also, you could prove what, exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it was difficult to disagree with that. I was so sure that the eye would give me a thread to pull on, but she was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head toward the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I guess not. Wait, is this really okay? This will be the only chance we have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam wasn't the one who was lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stayed silent for a while. She almost looked disappointed. Very well. You are dismissed. Miriam, you are dismissed. Miriam shot me a look of disdain, but she left the room without protest. The judge let out a sigh as the young noble was escorted out of the room. It was as if you were expecting the young noble to literally explode at any moment. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecution's theory was to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, you must question every witness who saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witnesses' account is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I didn't like the sound of that. She was right. Unless I could find something in Jan's testimony, I wouldn't have a case at all. Bailiff, please bring Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation!
Right. My name is Jan Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy.
Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day.
Alright.
Witness testimony. Excuse me. Sorry, goddamn.
I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went to the empty classroom.
Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan. What are we supposed to do with that?
I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, why is he doing it like that? Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Let's hope that fixes the weird cross-examination thing, and let's hope that it didn't fuck with the audio. Because usually when I pause and unpause, it fucks with the audio.
I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered.
How are you so sure that it was 30 minutes before?
I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m.
Right. The body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. What was the professor like, Mr. Hughes?
She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it.
Did anything else look off about her?
Yeah, probably. He was an undead after all.
Flocka! Stop! That remains to be proven.
If you say so.
Anyways, what was her demeanor like?
She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that or she was tired, but I guess she was actually just dead. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me.
I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did.
Yeah. Sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes.
Did you do it? What? Did she interact with you at all?
Oh, yeah. I didn't notice her at first, and I accidentally got in her way. She shoved me to the side and kept walking forward.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Whatever you say, ma'am. I heard she was undead, but she's pretty creepy because she pushed me out of her way.
I believe you've forgotten a few details about the professor did.
Yeah, sorry.
Did you hear her make any sounds?
Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet, but I didn't even say anything.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Whatever you say, man. Pretty creepy that she yelled at me. Okay, I just wanna exhaust the dialogue.
Did she touch anything?
Oh, yeah. She knocked over a vase and shattered it. It might have been an accident, but she's done stuff like that on purpose before.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Whatever you say, man. After that, she went into the empty classroom.
Did you see anyone else enter that classroom?
I'm honestly not sure. I wasn't paying much attention to her. I did think it was weird that she went in there. With that funky smell, I can't think of any reason why someone would go in there.
He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details unless we directly ask him about them. We just need to ask him the right questions. Maybe we can pull more information out of him. It's the sound one that I need. I think we can then present inmate corpse. It cannot speak.
Objection!
Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words?
I think she yelled at me to be quiet.
What?
I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her.
That's the thing, Mr. Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as follows. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you?
Huh?
This can't be right. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken.
No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense.
Exactly. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute.
I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was dead long before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what he saw wasn't an undead, what was it?
It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there?
It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove Jan out of the way and knock over the vase.
Whatever it was, someone probably used an illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does that mean it was a person? No. If it were a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether would have been able to turn herself invisible if she were dead. Wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she were dead. And whatever Jan saw needed to be something that could be transported. That could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would have also needed to have a mass and the ability to speak. What created Bellwether's voice? Or at the very least, it needs to be something that can recreate Bellwether's voice. What could have done that?
Arcane constructs.
That's it! What? Everyone, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was Bellwether's voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice.
You can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct.
An arcane construct?
It's a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor.
We ruled out such a possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one can disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom.
A person would have been able to do it, but arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow.
That means that, theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it.
The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts that you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise, after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. From under her table, Steelwind pulled out Miriam Frega's bloody rapier.
A sword? Is that...
Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frega weeks before the murder. During the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker.
Wait!
He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions as in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it! That wasn't what really happened. But honestly, it sounded more plausible than what really took place. Basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things? Wait, was that really true? The constructs transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Could anyone have done that? I think now is when we accuse somebody. It was at that moment that several memories flooded back to me. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words?
I think she yelled at me to be quiet.
She yelled at me to be quiet! Until then, we'd always been nothing but courteous to each other. I don't know what got her into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet! Sorry. Be quiet.
It was her! She was the person I made sullen at the very beginning.
Eris giggled to herself. She was clearly amused by what was happening. The construct's voice is an amalgam of pre-recorded phrases. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. I knew there was something wrong with it. But unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than basic phrases. Only the headmaster can change those settings.
Least obvious villain ever. I mean, most obvious villain ever. No! Was it him the entire time?
What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out?
I did. I didn't like where this was going. But with the way the pieces were laid out, there was only one explanation. Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true.
How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry the victim's body.
Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual had the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy.
Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this?
I don't want to believe it, but he's the only person who could have done it.
That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond is 88 years old. He could never do something like this.
Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witnesses' encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them.
She yelled at both of them to be quiet.
Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her. Almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with Jan Hughes. The professor knocked over her face and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after. If he hadn't said anything,
He was responding to the sound of the vase breaking.
Now, let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes?
A meeting?
With the headmaster. It appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. There's no need. Fortunately for you, I was already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up from the gallery behind me and slowly made his way onto the witness stand. Had he been there the entire time? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert. But are you trying to say that I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Mr. Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace.
The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond.
How can she speak so cordially, after all she's done? Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. Witness testimony. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her.
I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice old man. Is he really the killer we're looking for?
He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. I just needed to find out how to prove it. Yay, it's fixed, yay. That day I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. What was this meeting for? Oh, nothing of note. We were merely discussing the daily operations and duties within the academy. In an academy such as ours, it is beneficial to regularly communicate with the staff. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. So she showed up at exactly 12 p.m. More or less. Catherine Bellwether was many things, but she was never tardy. There weren't any witnesses who saw her before the meeting, so I didn't have a way to disprove what he's saying. I needed to look elsewhere in his testimony.
How long did this meeting last, Headmaster?
Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left, presumably to prepare for her next class. So that means the professor left your office at 1 p.m. Yes, she was quite adamant about taking time to prepare her lesson plans.
Now that I thought about it, Miriam had no idea what the time was when she saw Bellwether.
What time did she die? Died at 2:01 p.m.
If the headmaster was lying about when the meeting ended, there'd be no way to verify it, which would account for the hour gap that Steelwind mentioned.
Damn it. Did the headmaster really do this? Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another.
After hearing so much about her, I find that a little hard to believe.
I can see why you'd say that. But despite everything, I was still her superior. She always remained professional when speaking to me.
Was that really true, though?
After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her.
Really? Even after the way she's acted toward the students and faculty?
I make no mistake, I've had many complaints regarding her actions, and I have had many conversations with her to attempt to correct her behavior. At the end of the day, however, she was a remarkable professor, regardless of her lack of people skills.
I think teachers need pretty good people skills. Headmaster. His testimony pretty much matches what we know so far. I'm not entirely sure if he's lying or not. At the very least, we know that he was involved in the professor's murder. First, I would need to make his motive clear.
Objection!
Redmond, do you really hold no animosity toward Professor Bellwether?
Of course not. I did have strong feelings about how she treated the students, but I always remained professional. We both did.
Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor. Considering that she was going to take your job. What?
So you knew about that?
I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frege, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the school board. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of this academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise, but he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's...
Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself.
If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I'd love to hear it.
Gladly.
Witness testimony.
It is true that I knew about the Frege's plot beforehand, but I had only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as the headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now, you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Lady Frege. This happened weeks before our meeting. I had no knowledge of her plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Lady Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her.
Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way that the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. But how would I prove that?
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination.
Cross-examination.
It is true that I knew about the Frege's plot beforehand, but I had only just learned about it.
So, you only learned about it recently. Doesn't that seem a bit convenient for you?
It may appear that way, yes.
But
on the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs.
That must have infuriated you.
Your colleague betrayed you and attempted to steal your job. I'm only human. Of course I was taken aback. I've been headmaster of the Imperial Academy for nearly 60 years. To think that the professor and the board would go around my back like that. Now, you may say that this would give me the perfect motive to murder the professor.
With the professor dead, you won't have to worry about losing your job. At least not for a while.
I suppose you're correct. But there are others who benefit too. The faculty staff is now aware of the Frega's plot. With their plot delayed, they won't need to worry about abruptly losing their jobs either.
What would happen if I proved that Redmond was the killer? Maybe said the prison and the school board would just appoint someone else to carry out their plan. No, I couldn't think about that now. If I couldn't prove Redmond's guilt, the court would convict Wallace.
However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Lady Frege. This happened weeks before our meeting.
As the headmaster, you probably have the tools available to get her into her room.
Yes, I will admit that. The Academy has a master key that can be used to enter each of the students' dorms.
Then you're the perfect way to get into her room and steal her rapier undetected.
I suppose I did. However, there's one flaw with your logic. I had no knowledge of the plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Lady Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her.
It was my understanding that the school board wanted to keep this a secret until the very end. Why would Bellwether, of all people, tell you about her betrayal?
I imagine she wanted to taunt me with that information. We've long had our disagreements, and looking back, she may have resented me for that. At that point, there wasn't anything I could do to stop her.
Really? I thought you and the professor were on good terms.
I thought so too, but I suppose it was all a facade. She was biding her time until she could take my position as headmaster.
If he's the one behind this, he had to have known about Bellwether's betrayal weeks ago. Right. The question is, how do we prove it?
Oh. That. Yeah. Okay. Soon.
Objection!
What? Your Honor, it was clear that the witness's testimony is contradictory. And this piece of evidence proves it. Okay, it's just this again. How does that not prove that? What? Oh, no, not that one. I'm dumb.
Objection!
A few weeks ago. It says a few weeks ago, right there. It's supposed to be kept a secret.
Objection!
Okay, what the fuck?
Objection!
Okay. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I should have been able to present that to, like, any of those statements. Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim?
Of course I am. It's the truth.
I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings.
What? No. Did someone see us?
It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting. But he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strange part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard. The professor must have only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So, tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to establish an alibi? Redmond, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible.
The school board rejected my proposed staffing budget. You wouldn't be able to hire more custodians.
Of course they rejected it. Our current janitor simply needs to stop lazing about. Then you wouldn't have to spend all of your free time helping him.
How did you? Is that how they found out? Did you tell them?
I did.
Why? What I do after school hours is none of your concern.
It becomes my concern when the headmaster of my academy debases himself in such a manner.
I forgot I made it British.
You are mopping floors alongside him like a common servant. Have you no shame?
What else was I supposed to do? You can't possibly expect one man to keep an entire school clean.
Hughes is clearly capable. The academy is spotless despite his lounging about.
Yeah, it is Hughes, okay. Only because he's working during every waking hour. He barely has enough time to sleep.
Please, I've caught him napping on the job more times than I can count. Honestly, you coddle these animals far too much.
Professor Bellwether, I've called you here to discuss your treatment of certain students.
This again?
Do you remember Gillian Fletcher? He was a part of the advanced illusion track.
I remember failing him. His performance during the final exam was laughable.
They found his body in the lake last night. I'd always warned you that something like this might happen. I understand you feel that you have responsibilities to the kingdom, but our students are still human beings.
I fail to see how any of this is my responsibility.
Professor, surely even you must understand.
No, I don't. I think it's you who fails to understand. He may have been a mage, but he could never walk the path of the skilled lords chosen with such a plebeian constitution. What did you think would happen? The real act of cruelty was placed in that layout next to our kingdom's best and brightest. What did you think would happen to trash when they were faced with their betters?
You never allowed him the opportunity to succeed. Don't think I'm blind to what's been happening. I've received several reports that you've been harassing the students admitted through the scholarship program.
Then take those reports to the school board, Redmond. If these urchins fall apart over the tiniest bit of criticism, they have no place here. They can't handle it? Redmond, it's that simple. Maybe this incident will finally make you see reason.
You! What do I do? How do I stop her? It's only a matter of time before the school board names her as the new headmaster. After that, won't be able to protect anyone from her. I'll be powerless.
That's not how I see it.
That's not how I see it. Huh?
You're clinging to shadows, Redmond. Titles, influence, reputation. They're all just illusions. Strip those away and your bellwether's equal.
If only it truly worked like that. Reality is far more complicated than that.
Is it though? Her friends on the school board can't pump blood through her veins. Those nobles she dotes on can't draw breath into her lungs. All are equal in death. The survivors are the ones who determine what will be. It doesn't matter if you're a commoner, a noble, or the scaled lord himself.
What are you saying?
You should fight for what you believe in. Do whatever it takes to create the universe you want.
Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible. He had truly despised Catherine Bellwether with all of his heart. In his mind, this world was a better place without her in it. Yet the sound of that rapier piercing her heart had been echoing endlessly within his head. It was as if her ghost were floating over his shoulder, torturing him by repeating her last anguished gasps. It made his stomach churn. He took no pleasure in taking her life, and his soul felt forever scarred from what he'd done.
But you've already come this far, haven't you?
I have already come this far. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet.
Headmaster?
So, you truly plan on pushing this, do you? I won't let anyone stop me from getting justice for Wallace. Well, your thesis sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe her argument could use a little work. Argument! Hold on. I'm getting under my blanket because I don't know if you can hear my dad stuff, but I think a little bit more noise should help. Not noise, a little bit more, like, stopping that noise from breaking through. You think I killed Bellwether? Me? I'm an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and could not overpower Bellwether. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier.
Did he use the construct to kill her too?
I think that's what I needed. But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the Arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means that the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Even so, think about what would have transpired afterward. Do you recall Miss Steelwind's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses? With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. I wouldn't have had this construct linger around the library. Having it there could have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. I was lucky. Lady Fergus can't have night from day. Intuition. The timing deduced from Miss Fergus' testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However,
If we assume that you're lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frege would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m.
Miss Frege wouldn't have made a mistake like that.
It's actually really fucking hot under the blanket. Miss Frege thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. You can't reliably tell the time.
Then what about when the rapier was placed? If I was really the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace was one of my prized students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose.
Okay, I know... Where is it? Because I know... Okay, how do I prove it? What? Okay, just the bloody rapier, I guess? No, that wasn't right. He wouldn't have intentionally framed Wallace. Something must have confused him about whose locker he placed the rapier in. Okay, how do I prove it, though? Oh, evidence in the locker. There. Why is that a picture of blood? You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frege. It would have been for the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous coworker and from the daughter of the family that helped her. If Miriam had been implicated, the Inquisition would have immediately swept Bellwether's murder under the rug. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up.
I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. Simply changing labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that.
What? Oh! But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frege. But it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's.
Can
I save? Okay, no, I can't save. Redmond was desperately stammering.
Miss Steelwind, say something.
What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it.
Ah, that's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did it.
No. Wasn't there some sort of evidence that would track the orders given to him? This? What? What? What do you mean, some sort of evidence tracking the orders? What the fuck? Really? Okay. your Arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it, and we'll see the blood inside. Oh, okay. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why do you still look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked inside the construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What?
The construct's primary function is to assist in clean the Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out.
That still wouldn't erase the magical traces.
Healing spells may leave traces of necromancies, but so would a healing potion. If there were evidence of blood, there could be a myriad of reasons why those traces were there.
Well, we can still look at the command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No!
That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best, but I suppose I can still give you marks for trying.
I thought of everything. Did you really get rid of all the evidence? I was running out of options, but I still had one option left.
Ha! It's surely unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion.
He's doing it again. I needed to bring myself back to that moment with Garrick Pierce. Everything was at stake for Wallace in this trial. He endured the collective hatred of everyone who didn't understand what he was doing. Yet he stayed true to his ideals, no matter how much it harmed him. He studied necromancy, all for the betterment of mankind. His life and his future were in my hands, and I would not see his potential destroyed.
Naught can remain concealed.
I activated the empowered eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there was no such thing as the perfect crime. There had to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Project.
The contract's orders were clear. Plant the body and let your whole to be. And then plant the evidence in Fergus' locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened?
Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room?
The construct... Okay, that's... I had to do everything I could to shift guilt away from myself. But did I leave any holes in my alibi? No, I accounted for everything. There's no possible way I left any evidence behind.
There's nothing there for me to use.
Oh, I thought that... See, I thought that was, lockdown. No, it is. It does talk about the... I had to do everything... okay. Where was the contract in the locker room? Shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter, it wiped its logs. That's all that matters. They have nothing.
So we did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it probably wouldn't have done this last. Wait! He ordered the contract to go to the storage room. It should have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the constructs from being in the locker room? Right. The body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. That meant he probably started the lockdown while the construct was still in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? But does this change anything?
What if...
Yeah, Redmond's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. Right, the series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute! Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if this task in a series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the entire series.
If Redmond was trying to cover up his tracks, the construct's final command would be to wipe its memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness.
What? You're not giving up, are you? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove he did it if he's not on the stand?
Don't worry, the next witness's testimony will be all I need.
Next witness?
The look on your face isn't one of resignation. Ah, it's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me.
You've let him get away, Mr. Cuthbert. Hope you know what you're doing.
I do, Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring in the Arcane construct in the Academy's locker room.
We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history.
Please, just humor me for a second.
Fine. Bailiff, please replay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White.
Relay, not replay, relay.
Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert.
Construct!
What are your orders?
Please recite your command history.
Reporting. Command 1, stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await focal signal, attack from Theodore Redmond.
Redmond stood up from the gallery, his face turning from confusion into terrified realization. Steelwind watched him carefully, clutching the handle of Arcane.
Command 3, treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize.
Construct, wipe your...
Hold.
No, wait, what?
Toddle, howdy.
I don't know, what the fuck? What the fuck was that?
Before he could finish his order, the prosecutor whipped out her cane and pointed it square at the headmaster. The headmaster tensed as his body tightened and he fell over, restrained by magical energy.
Why does she get a point and I don't?
He struggled against the spell to no avail. He could watch through gritted teeth as the construct continued.
Miss Steelwind.
Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Await vocal signal. Leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor.
Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands?
Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond.
How? How? I ordered the construct to wipe its commands history.
Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute.
Impossible? How are my commands impossible?
You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system.
The lockdown?
I imagine you never expected anyone to go to Lecture Hall 2B. But the Giannis twins discovered the body earlier than you expected. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. It would have been suspicious otherwise. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The construct finished its tasks in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It attempted to now move to the storage room, but was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible, so the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history.
No!
Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had to place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. And we have your construct's testimony to prove it. That's your last move, Redmond. That's checkmate.
Really? I don't like the reuse of this CG.
I think it would have been better to just give him a pointing sprite. Like, let the man point. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster?
She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Fregas.
Why didn't you say anything? I could've...
Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Fregas acted alone? The Grand General is also on the school board, and he endorsed this plan just as much as they did.
What?
I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I thought you were different. I listened to you and the Prince's lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of them. By the scaled Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. Why did I do... No. See, that said, why did I ever listen to? Why did I do this? It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell.
Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it. It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders.
It does, but Headmaster Redmond, what are we going to do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. If the school board replaces him with someone like Bellwether...
Come on! Don't think like that. You've been acquitted. You still have your freedom.
I wanted to agree, but the study of necromancy was outlawed. Without Redmond's support, there weren't many places he could learn it. And then there was staff at the Imperial Academy.
Hey, not you two!
Sorry, but Valentina, Valerie, and Jan, they're all going to lose their jobs.
Come on, you found the truth, and you put the murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace.
She's right. As we exited the courtroom, we were greeted by Miss Timora. At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You did what you set out to do. You should be proud of yourself for that. I just wish I could do more.
Nope, none of that. I'm taking all of us to that restaurant we went to last time.
Do you remember how much that place cost?
Don't worry, I have plenty of gold.
Am I the only one on this team not making any money?
Why don't you meet us there, Celeste?
I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment.
Alright. Let's go, Wallace!
Okay. You used that ability again, didn't you? She didn't appear to be praising me. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. That's twice now you've used that ability to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow.
I mean... Did you want me to just let Wallace get convicted of murder? Like, fuck you. Like, that'd be like Maya telling Phoenix to not use the Magatama. Or Phoenix telling Apollo to not use his bracelet. Well, the thieves thing. Like, you use the tools available to you. Somebody, get Phoenix to beat this woman's ass. No, he wouldn't do that.
One day you'll find a witness that it won't work on. It worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another mystery brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? I can't believe it. It was really Theodore this entire time?
Can we talk about something else? Thinking about all that is really bumming me out. I hope I'm not interrupting. Oh, great! What do you want? I've always tried to act with more compassion than my fellow aristocrats, but I suppose I'm still blind to the privilege I was born with. I am truly sorry if my words during the trial were insensitive to your circumstances. I've been speaking with the students here. There's quite a bit of outrage about your firing. Wait, really? The idea of a machine doing your job doesn't seem to sit well with the student body. While not everyone was as sympathetic as I'd hoped, most everyone agrees that your leaving would be a tremendous loss. I've spoken with the head of the head of the student council. We believe that we can convince the school board to keep you on staff. You can do that? But is that what you want, Valentina? I don't see the working conditions here improving without Redmond as headmaster. Well, we've got to make a living somehow. There's actually a merchant out in Oranax. There's actually a merchant out in Oranax who takes an interest in people like you and your sister. He's recently purchased a condemned building in the city, and he's looking to turn it into a restaurant. I remember how delicious your meals were when I was a student here. I'm certain he would hire you if I asked. Really? Would you be interested in that? It's a bit of a gamble, but your employment wouldn't be left to the whims of the nobility. Of course! Good. I'll contact him later today. You'll probably be hearing from him soon. She's not so bad for a noble. I don't know if I buy it. You've heard about what her dad's been doing, haven't you? Don't be so pessimistic. She seems nice.
I'm kind of with Valentina on this one. Something's always been up with the Steel Winds. Do you remember that scandal all those years ago?
No, actually. What happened?
Right, you two were probably just kids when it all went down. But it was big news at the time. That girl's mom went on a rampage and massacred a village full of farmers, children included.
Scaled Lord.
Lucio Steelwind's violent streak didn't start with those rebellions. I think they had a bad marriage or something. He couldn't wait to get rid of her. After what she did, he personally prosecuted her and demanded a death sentence. He even carried out the execution himself.
He really is a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd trust anyone raised by a guy like that.
See, there's always something up with the aristocrats. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not getting my hopes up until I hear from this merchant from Oranax. But hey, if I do get that restaurant, we'll need someone to help us keep it clean. You interested, Jan?
Leading one small restaurant instead of an entire school? I'm falling asleep just thinking about it.
Okay, just make sure you still do your job, okay?
Man, Stingwind's been keeping the old-timer here for hours. What's there to even ask at this point?
Turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene.
I mean, he is pretty old.
Yeah, well, she found that damn symbol etched into his desk. Oh, what did she call it? The purple mark.
Oh, for the love of... not this again.
Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it.
Cast sleep.
Hey! What's up with...
Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how?
That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget.
Aris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether.
Oh, you people never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with.
You even broke into Lady Frega's room. I never thought you were capable of such things, young Theodore. It's such a shame, though. I wish I could have gotten Wallace to play the villain instead of you. Could you imagine if he turned? The armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. It would have been spectacular. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt him. He falters in every other situation. But when it comes to necromancy, his will is adamantine.
Answer me. Who are you? What are you?
Who am I? I'm the ruler of the Sixth Circle, the Lord of Shadows.
Ah!
Sorry. I can't do a very good scream right now.
You know, I don't think this scream with a cheery music, the cheery jingle, is very good, very earned after witnessing a man get murdered. But, you know, The Walking Dead, completed. I will see you all next time when we start the third case. Bye-bye!